Woo! Coming up on the Zach Lowe Show, I got Bill Simmons. He's right there in the same room as me. We were just at Pacers Thunder Game 4. It's down to 3 games for the NBA title. An absolute war of attrition, defensive battle. I'm drained. I'm emotionally drained and physically drained. I didn't play in the game. Are you physically and emotionally drained? We're going to talk about everything that happened in the game if I can remember any of it.
I felt like I played. And also I felt the energy of the crowd, and I became a Pacers fan for like 2 hours. And it sucked me in. What a game. I can't wait to talk about it.
I got harassed on the street on the way back. Zach Lowe, talk about the missed kickballs. Talk about the missed kickballs. Scott Foster. Okay. All right. I'm going to go do the podcast. We saw Andre Iguodala in the elevator. He was excited to talk about the game. We got Kevin Durant rumors. We got the Knicks are interviewing human coaches. I heard
they had a head and 2 arms and 2 legs.
We got it. Yeah, I think so. We got a lot to talk about on the Zach Lowe Show. Coming up now with Bill Simmons. You're listening to the Zach Lowe Show presented by FanDuel. America's #1 sportsbook has made it easier than ever to get in on the action during the NBA Finals. And with live betting, the tip-off is just the beginning. Look for the live SGP tab on the FanDuel Sportsbook app and build your bet slip. Then sit back and enjoy the game as you track the outcome of your parlay right in the app. If you don't already have it, download the FanDuel app today and make every moment more. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available. And listen to the end of this episode for additional details. Must be 21 and over in present in select states or 18 and over in present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Welcome to the Zach Lowe Show. As promised, I'm in an undisclosed hotel location with Bill Simmons. We just watched the Oklahoma City Thunder in a game that didn't feel like it was one they were going to win. In a game that felt the Pacers were pacering around. Tyrese Halliburton was playing well. Pascal Siakam was playing well. Obi Toppin, another big game for him. They were up by 10 at one point. Oklahoma City, no rhythm. They made 3 3-pointers the entire game. They took 17 threes in the year of our basketball gods 2025, exacerbating problems that were coming in to this game. They couldn't get threes. They weren't passing. They had 10 assists.
They made 3 threes.
3 threes. They made 3.
3 threes, 10 assists, and they win by 7 on the road.
And they win by 7 on the road. And now it's 2-2. They have reclaimed home court advantage, going back to Oklahoma City, and we are set up here for a potentially epic last 2 or 3 games of the finals. And I don't even know who I feel like has the edge after these 4 games. They've all been very different games, but this game was sitting there for Indiana to win. They were up, I think, 7 going into the fourth quarter. J-Dub made a jumper right at the end of the third quarter. Felt big when it went in after a stop too. But it was sitting there for them to win. Didn't you feel like they were going to win?
I thought when it was 86-76, up 10, OKC looked like they were a mess. And the ball wasn't moving. It was all one-on-one stuff. They couldn't hit a 3. And it felt like Indy could knock them out. And they missed a couple shots. Toppin got fouled, missed both free throws. And I just remember mentally noting it. I'm like,
my notes right here.
They could be putting this game away right now, and they're not putting it away, and they let OKC hang around. But I'll tell you, I thought OKC's defense in the second half was among the best I've ever seen in my life. Indiana couldn't get within 30 feet of the hoop on multiple possessions in a row. Halliburton, Dort. I felt so good about my Dort Defensive Player of the Year.
It felt like Dort at halftime was like, all right, I'm doing to you what Nembhard is doing to our guy. I'm doing to Halliburton what Nembhard's doing to SGA. All the way up the floor. You're barely going to get, and yet still up 10, Thunder in disarray. They had 2 shot clock violations and an 8-second call in the third quarter. What happened to the Pacers offense at the end of the game? Was it just amazing defense? I mean, it is amazing defense. Was there anything else you noticed that the Thunder can take with them trying to defend this so far in the playoffs, almost undefendable Pacers offense?
I thought they solved a lot of stuff. Siakam only had 1 field goal in the second half. I think it was 1 for 6. He only took 1 field goal in the whole fourth quarter.
Boom.
They couldn't figure out how to get him the ball. And if they tried to get him the ball around the key, it felt like OKC had 7 arms just flying and tapping it. Halliburton couldn't start the offense and was working so hard just to get away from Dort. And then it just was over and over again. It felt like there was like 6 seconds left on the shot clock and they hadn't even really started a play. And it was, a Nembhard pull up, or it was Halliburton just trying to create something right at the end of the shot clock, or it was like a quick pass for a quick three. OKC's defense won the game, but Shai made the 2 biggest shots of the game in a row. He scored 5 in a row right when they needed him, and it felt like it flipped the game. He had the 3 that took it from 4 points to 1, and then he did the go ahead jumper. And he had no assists, and he was still incredible.
Yeah, 35 points on 12 of 24. Did get 10 free throws. Obviously, a little inflated. The free throws at the end, a lot of free throws. Both they started a run. We talked about after Game 3. You called dueling banjos on when I was saying you would like a little more synergy between SGA and J-Dub. Even when they're rolling, it's like they're playing their separate offenses within the offense. They put him in the 2-man game a lot tonight with Shai screening for J-Dub.
Especially in the second half. Indy couldn't stop it.
And it wasn't like anything fancy. It's not like they blitzed and they got him in rotation. It was they switched and just it's so funny how these matchups are. Like Jalen Brunson wants anybody but Nesmith on him, and SGA wants anybody but Nembhard on him, including Nesmith. And he got that switch. He got I think he drew a foul at the nail on one of them, or made a long 2, drew a foul on like a spin move. And then that 3, he got the switch. They loaded up to him. He kicked it to J-Dub. J-Dub drove the gap, and J-Dub's was just relentless off the dribble the entire game. Just kept them afloat in the first half, in the first quarter.
It felt like he was going left every time too, and they just never could figure it out.
And he kicked it to Shai. Shai hits the monster 3. And you nailed it with Siakam. I thought when Indiana's offense was kind of unraveling at the end of the game, and one thing Oklahoma City did that I bet we'll see more of is they switched Chet onto Halliburton and Nembhard and just said, look, we know you're going to dance a little bit, and sometimes you'll punish him. Sometimes you'll beat him for a layup, like Halliburton beat him for a layup. Sometimes you'll just step back 3. And we may not do this on purpose on every possession. It may be sort of like, oh God, the screen really hit us. We're going to switch just to get back in front. But we're not going to get in rotation as much. And Nembhard settled for a long 2 that he missed over him. And it felt like Nembhard just never misses those shots.
Yeah.
Halliburton settled, I think, for a jumper that he missed over him. And I just kept writing down, where is Siakam? Where is Siakam? Like they forgot about Siakam toward the end of the game. And part of it is, you're right. Like the entry passes were all treacherous against Oklahoma City. But I wanted Siakam to just force his way, go set a screen, like get involved in the action. And I felt like they forgot about him, and Oklahoma City just walked him down with that defense.
I mean, there's so much to cover with this game. I remember thinking in the third quarter when it felt like Indy was going to win, especially when they're up 10. I was sitting near the OKC bench. I'm watching the body language, and they just looked young and tired. And you could feel it at the end of the half when they walked on the end of the first half. They were a little hang-doggy, noted that. And then in the third quarter, same thing, just young and tired. And I was just marveling because I thought OKC was playing incredible defense. It wasn't like they were letting up. Indy was just scoring and getting these, topping into those 2 threes in a row. They're getting fast break points. And at some point you're like, maybe Indy's just a great offensive team now. Maybe they have just emerged. And then over the last 14 minutes, OKC just plucked all their wings off. It wasn't just that they scored 18 points. The shots were terrible. I never felt good. They were either like somebody flying to the basket trying to make a really hard layup, somebody making a 20-footer with a hand in their face, or a rush 3. And those were the 3 plays. And I think Halliburton's a great offensive player. He can't solve Dort. He can't go by him. Dort, I just thought Dort was, it's weird to say this because SGA was incredible, but I thought Dort was the MVP of the game. I thought the way he took out Halliburton, was like watching a defense take out the quarterback of another team. Halliburton had an okay game. It was like 18-7, but they really needed him. In that game, it hit the point that we've watched him do this for 2 months now. These close games, he makes big plays and big shots, and he couldn't do it in this game. They didn't really have anybody to make the shots.
I am so brain broken by Indiana's comebacks that when Halliburton deflects the inbounds pass when they're down 5 after before the inbounds pass foul that they got the extra free throw. Remember, he deflects it and they come out and they get a run out, and Mathurin misses the free throws. But when that happened, I was like, these motherfuckers are going to do this again. Like, again. I'm so brainwashed by them that in game 2, when they were up like 18 and Carlisle put Johnny Furphy to the scorer's table, I was like, maybe he's got something with Furphy in this series. Maybe this is like a secret weapon he's been waiting to play, and they're going to come back, but there was no comeback this time. You look at the box score, it's like J-Dub 27, Shai 35, Caruso just an absolutely massive 20 points. Massive.
Yeah. And big, like when plays were breaking down, he had one play where it was like the end of the shot clock. Indy played perfect defense in the fourth quarter, and he just made like a crazy fall away baseline. Like he's not that kind of player.
Yeah,
he was able to make
manufactured
big shots,
points that they really needed just to kind of keep in touch, because they're getting very little in transition. Indiana has continued to be awesome in transition. They're taking away all the easy buckets they get, and it's just hard for them in the half court against the Pacers defense that we have to laud them as like, this
ridiculous.
Is now a legit good to very good defensive team. They've been on point with their rotations. There's particularly the last 2 games with their schemes and their rotations, which we can talk about. But
and then we should mention Chet played 37 tonight. And he had the 14 and 15. I thought he had a couple of big defensive plays. I don't know how many blocks. He had one block,
he had
but
one
it felt
on
like
Nembhard late in the game when Nembhard drove, and another kind of broken, slow possession for Indiana, and he challenged him at the rim, and he had to toss it way up.
Right.
Off the bat. The other thing is 4 offensive rebounds for Chet, couple putbacks when things look like they were on the verge of Indiana 3-1.
He got hurt in the first quarter. We were watching because it looked like he re-injured the ankle and that he wasn't coming back. He limped off, and we're like, oh my God, that's it for Chet. Listen, their backs were to the wall. We probably should have said this sooner. I do think if they lost that game, I think that I don't think they can win 3 in a row after that.
I mean, how about this? This is something we talked about last night and before the game. I mean, there's a chance this was the NBA championship. I actually don't feel that way. I feel that way less after watching the game.
But we've had game 4s like that before. That game 4 was the game, right? It's like 2000 LA, Indiana that decided the championship that game.
If you think that, you think OKC has now such an upper hand with home court advantage that they win game 5 and then all they got to do is split. I don't come out of this game feeling like, it doesn't even feel like Oklahoma City still knows like what lineups to play and when. Like, did the double big thing even work? Hartenstein was -7. Wallace is kind of just like down, 19 minutes, made 1 shot. Joe didn't play the second half. Wiggins 8 minutes after that huge.
No, they have 6.5 guys, Zach.
And
they're down to 6.5.
And are they going to now lean on the lineup we thought they might start tonight, which was Caruso for Wallace, staying small?
Yeah.
That might be their best lineup. It was -7 in the playoffs before this game. So I feel like they're still a little unsteady. Chet looks a little rickety on offense outside of a couple of putbacks and stuff. But so I'm not ready to go there, but there was a chance that this was like the NBA title was literally in the balance tonight.
That's how I felt leaving. I felt like Indiana blew it. And there's 2 versions of blowing a game where you have like some of the comebacks Indiana had where like the Knicks in game 1, where you're like, not only do you just blow this game, I'm not sure we can emotionally come back from that. This one was like Indiana. It was kind of amazing. They were up 10 with, late in the third quarter with how well OKC was playing defensively and how physical the game was. And Foster, we didn't mention him yet.
Here we go.
It was just an abomination. It was a typical Scott Foster, all over the map, just involved, like weird stoppages, missed calls, like calling touch fouls, then not calling somebody getting clubbed in the head. They had no control of this entire game. There was over 70 free throws. Both coaches were mad. Both benches were mad.
Everyone was mad.
There was no rhyme or reason. All of a sudden, they just started calling fouls on OKC in the fourth quarter that they'd been doing the whole game. They're like, yeah, we're going to start calling those now. Nobody could keep track of anything. So the game had no flow. But the biggest thing for me is if Indy can't run and Indy's not, playing with pace in the half court offense, I just think it's really hard for them to score.
Well, that's both these teams, and neither one can get any momentum running against the other. Toppin got a run out dunk in a transition 3 at one point. But you look, it's like, how do you win a game? I don't even know what number is more alarming, only making 3 threes or only attempting 17. Like, Oklahoma City could not get any threes in this series.
Nobody wanted to shoot them either.
Their 3-point rate would be last by a mile now in the regular season. This will be 3 of their 4 or 5 lowest 3-point rate games will now have been in this series for the whole 100 whatever games they've played.
Wow.
They can't get threes. The Pacers are just like, they're just filling gaps and flying out, and they've got them second guessing. So how do you win a game when you make 3 threes, you take 17, and you have 10 assists? 10 assists.
They had 4 assists in the second half too. They had 6 at halftime, 4 in the second half.
And they didn't win the turnover battle. The turnover battle is more or less even. The answer is 34 free throws, shoot better from 2, and have an absolutely incredible defense that strangled the Pacers late in the game. But the Caruso wildcard game. And the Caruso wildcard game.
Caruso 7 for 9. It felt like all of them were big shots. I feel like they, I thought Dort was the best defensive player I saw this year, and I thought he was massive in this game. Caruso was the most important trade of the year, and he was massive in this game. And they at least know now, because a game like this, and I know it's one thing to watch on TV, it's another thing to be in the building for it, because there's just a different level of pressure and intensity. The fans were so loud, and just for 2 hours, they're mad at the refs. They're going nuts for the team. That was the kind of like 10 out of 10 pressure atmosphere I think that team needed. And really what they found out was we have Caruso and Dort, we have our 2 best guys, and we have Chet. And this is we're going to ride or die with these 5 guys. And that's how it felt down the stretch. But what's crazy is they couldn't make any threes, and it didn't matter. And that's just like in the NBA in 2025, to make 3 threes, you should never be able to win a must-win game on the road. It should be impossible. They also hit their free throws, which we should have mentioned. They're 34 for 38.
They're a great free throw shooting team.
That's 90%.
I think we should talk about Shai.
Yeah.
And Shai in the second half, because it didn't feel like it was going to be a great Shai game for some of it.
He had 2 points in the first quarter, basically.
He wasn't bringing the ball up at all, which is a red flag. Like, and then they change his substitution pattern, so he comes out much earlier in the first and third quarters to like shorten his stints.
Yeah.
And on a lot of these possessions, part of the reason why like it's J-Dub going one-on-one or whatever is if Shai starts off the ball, Nembhard is just denying him, like top locking him in the corner, just not letting him get the ball. And if he does that once, Shai on a lot of these plays will just kind of check himself out of the play. Just like, all right, I guess someone else is going to do something. And it just felt like, boy, maybe they really have worn them down. Maybe this Pacers machine where it's like pitch and catch and run and screen and press you all over the place, maybe on only one day off between games, playing him 4 times, whatever, maybe they've done to him what they've done to everybody they faced so far. And it wasn't pretty. None of it was easy. Like, you go look back at his baskets, his fouls, almost none of them were easy. There were like very few jailbreaks like the Pacers were giving up in the first couple games where he splits the pick and roll and it's like a jailbreak to the rim. And he summoned what MVPs are supposed to summon. He summoned like enough energy, enough resourcefulness, enough tough jumpers to get them over the hump in this game. It wasn't like not a lot of highlights. It doesn't necessarily a performance that like makes you feel super confident about the next game, but it was everything they needed to survive that game. He gave them. I don't know what grade you would give it. I don't know what struck you about it.
It's funny that was your takeaway, because I felt completely differently. I felt like they got over some sort of invisible hump.
Well, I just think I'm just talking Shai specifically. I didn't necessarily feel like that kind of fourth quarter was going to, even I guess early in the second quarter, he made a bunch of tough buckets to keep them afloat. It felt like he had 2 points. Then it felt like he made 4 tough shots in a row in the
and
second
started
quarter
to take control of the game.
But so he summoned whatever he needed to summon. He did it.
So it's 101-97, 3:34 left.
Okay.
Neesmith hits second free throw coming out of the timeout.
Yeah.
Shai gets fouled, hits 2 free throws. Halliburton makes the driving layup. So now it's 103-99, 3:20 left. And OKC's offense kind of broke down a little bit, but that led to that Shai 3. It's the only one he made in the game. They get a stop because Caruso blocks them hard, and then Shai makes that step back, and all of a sudden they were leading. And I think if we were watching, those NBA Finals mini movies that the NBA makes, and everything's in slow motion, and they cut to the bench, like this was the NBA Finals mini movie moment where Shai's 3, which was a massive, massive shot, because it went from 4 to all of a sudden they had the lead. And then that other one, and it was like, everyone in my section was like, what just happened? We were up 4. And I didn't feel like Indiana was going to win after that. And that was one of the only times I felt that way the whole playoffs for them. Just felt like a fucking stomach punch.
And look, OKC has been in this exact position before against Denver, down 2-1.
Yeah.
On the road, season maybe on the line.
Who was that? Lou Dort hit a couple shots?
That was, I think that was game
Jay
5
Williams?
was like the Dort game. That game 4 against Denver, I think, was the one. It was a very low scoring game where like Wallace and Wiggins made a bunch of threes against the zone in the third quarter when it felt like they were really teetering in that game. And they just, another test that they survive, and now they go home. And I mean,
well, if you're Indiana, you're kicking yourself though.
You are 3 threes and you give up 3 threes and you lose the game.
And you stopped running. And I'm not going to say they played scared. I thought they played tentative down the stretch. It was one of the few times we've seen them all year where they were they just weren't attacking like they normally do. I actually thought they made a mistake. And it's funny because he was terrible in the last minute of the game, Mathurin. He missed the 3 out of 4 free throws. He had 2 dumb fouls. But I actually thought they needed him down the stretch because nobody could create anything. And he's the one guy on their team who can actually create a basket. And it's just, that's a lot. I like Nembhard, but that's a lot to ask for him to try to create shots. I also thought we should have mentioned this too. SGA's defense was really good in this game. Like he blocked a Halliburton 3. He tipped a couple passes. I just thought he was really active. And on top of what Dort and Caruso was doing, it's in the running for best defense I've ever seen in person. When you're wondering how somebody can get the ball over midcourt, that's like shit you worry about in 8th grade, not in like an NBA game.
Shai is the best guard in the league at I switched onto a big man. He's posting me up and I'm going to jump over you and tap away the entry pass without fouling you. He's the best guy in the league at that.
Arms.
Yeah, he's the best guard in the league at that. We should also probably talk about Miles Turner, 3 of 10, 0 of 6 on 3. It just feels huge that he has not been able to get going for a lot of the series. And Carlisle is going to Toppin, Siakam together more and more, which has been a successful lineup for them.
Yeah.
But Turner has got to make shots, especially if they're going to play drop coverage or come up to the level of the screen. He's going to be able to pop and get into a short roll game. He's just got to make some shots for them to win. So
I think he was 2 for 10 last game. He was 3 for 10 this game.
It's been a rough couple of games.
He was getting the shots they wanted him to get. And he was missing them. The guy sitting behind me who was very upset at Scott Foster at various points and just started screaming "fuck you" at him during the fourth quarter, which I thought was fun.
Yeah.
But Miles missed one of those wide open threes at the top of the key, which he's made all year. And the guy behind me was just like, "God, Miles, that's your shot." And that was how I felt watching it. I'm not even a Pacers fan. I was like, "Miles, that's your shot, mate." And they weren't misses. They were like missing right, missing left. There was a really bad Halliburton air ball near the end. There was a couple like rebounded air balls where Indy got fouled.
Nesmith just caught it under the rim.
Yeah, if you did a collage of the fourth quarter misses, I think that would be pretty ugly.
So you're feeling confident about OKC?
I think they got over the hump. But I really feel like Indy, I think there was a moment in that third quarter, and then when it was 86-76, and I thought they had a chance to end it. Because you can't come back from 15 if you're not going to make threes, right? You can do it if you're whoever, but not a team that's not making any threes.
Not taking them. That's the crazy. Yeah. They can't even get them.
So they missed that moment there. And then that 103-99, that SGA 3 was just a backbreaker when it cut it to 1. I felt you could feel the air go out of the arena for a second.
Now, maybe I'm wrong about this because Oklahoma City can certainly go home and just have one of those games where they force 22 turnovers and it doesn't even matter what they do on offense because they get 30 points in transition and just run you out of the building. And if they get one of those, that's 3 wins and they just need to play one more game and win. I still think they're going to have to find some kind of rhythm on offense to win 2 more times against the Pacers. I don't think the Pacers are now like mentally defeated and, oh my God.
So you don't think they found something with the 2-man game there?
I think they found it shouldn't be a revelation. Like they've used that two-man game before. I still think they have to make some.
No, but they were doing it every time.
Every time.
I felt like they were like, you can't stop this. Now we're just going to do this until you stop it.
And it involves their two best perimeter defenders, Nembhard and Nesmith. And so it shouldn't be as much of a threat as it was at the end of that game. But I think we'll see that. But I think they are going to have to establish a little bit more of a rhythm in their half-court offense and improve their spacing a little bit and just like play. They've had a couple threes in this series where they've gotten them by setting flare screens off the ball, like leveraging Indiana's help against them. They got one tonight. Yeah. Chet set a flare for somebody. I think it was Caruso. I just think they need to play with a little bit more purpose offensively to win twice more against Indiana, because I don't think Indiana's like going away now that they've lost home court advantage. I think these are going to be tough games.
There's some things that are tough going against them now. You have Miles Turner now, an official slump. You have an Indiana team that if they're trapped in the half court offense with the way OKC was dialing them, they're going to dial it up at home too. Just really hard for them to score.
And it's not like, with the exception of the end of the last 4 minutes, let's say, where I thought they stalled out a little bit and lost a little bit of their snap. They're like running their stuff. Like there was a sequence where Toppin and Halliburton flipped the ball back and forth to each other like 3 times or 4 times in 2 seconds. And you could see Oklahoma City being like, God damn, can someone just dribble
right.
so we can stay still for a second? You know, they're running Halliburton like in off-ball split actions like the Warriors run. They're like doing their stuff, and Oklahoma City's just up for it for the most part. I do think they found something with Chet. Hey, Chet, can you just switch a little bit more just to keep us out of rotation a bit? They tried playing zone. That didn't really work. But, I mean, their defense is just – they're more talented, and their defense is the best thing in the playoffs.
I wrote down – it was after those 2 huge Toppin threes, and I agree with you on the defense. It was 80-72 Indy with 4:11 left in the third quarter. And I wrote down threes. Indy, 11 for 27. OKC, 1 for 12. And I was sitting with Chen, and I'm like, Indy's plus 10 in threes, and they're up 8. That feels like not a good sign, right? If you're 11-1 in threes, I'm just going to assume you're up by 15, 20 points. And it's just that OKC was hanging around was such a credit to their defense. I thought OKC went to another level defensively. It was crazy watching OKC solve it and score. I mean, Indiana solve it and score, even though OKC was doing everything right. And they were so physical. And then, you know, it would end up with some crazy Toppin three or a Siakam whirling move in or Nembhard. And it was like, Jesus, they're throwing everything at this team. They're still scoring. And then they ran out of
Halliburton had a couple just drives to the rim where they're trying to make him a driver and a playmaker, like a slower driving Chris Paul style playmaker. And he had a drive to the rim. He had one where he like drove, fake shot, fake pass, and then fake pass, got somebody an open 3 in the corner.
Well, can I just tell you, I've noticed 2 things in this series going to the games, which I knew anyway, but really jumped out to me. Halliburton only goes right. Jalen Williams only goes left. And OKC they know Halliburton's going right, and they're just like basically preventing it. Indiana was not preventing Jalen Williams from going left over and over again. He loves going left, and he just kept getting it. And even if you kind of blocked it off, then he would do his little step back 12-footer. I thought he was
tough shots.
I thought he was brilliant.
He was absolutely relentless
he shut down Siakam too. And they were if Siakam came out, Dagnall would take Jalen Williams out, then he'd put him back in if Siakam came in. I just thought he completely outplayed Siakam in the second half.
He was awesome, and just the relentlessness he played with early in the game, it just felt like they needed to stay in touch. Like the game didn't feel like it was going to go their way. It wasn't going their way. And he just drove and drove. He got 11 free throws, 11 of 11 at the line. He had one play.
Tough plays too.
Yeah, he had one play where it was a baseline out of bounds. He catches it in like the left corner. Ben Shepherd was on him. Ben Shepherd, just a sort of nondescript 11 minutes today. And Ben Shepherd just kind of overran the catch by a half step. And J-Dub saw it and seized on it and just drove middle with every bit of force he could summon and got fouled at the rim. It was like stuff like that. That's just tough. That's tough. That hurts.
I know. We should have mentioned this sooner. That game from a physicality intensity standpoint was as good as it gets.
I had a GM text me during the game, or whatever the title is for the number one decision maker on a team, text me during the game. How many games do you think we could find from the last 30 years that were harder played than these last two games? Like that's just, I mean, I'm sure we could find some, but that's people around the league, you know, the rest of the league watches the finals. They watch for trends. They watch for like what wins at the biggest stages. And at least this one guy texted me and said, this is like the level of effort and physicality is the likes of which he almost literally hasn't seen.
Yeah, there was like real desperation, and it wasn't just down the stretch. It was like the entire game. And I went to the Denver Clippers game 4, which I talked about in my pod. I thought that was an awesome game, and both teams really brought it. And this was a level higher than that. In that game, I was like, that felt like a game 7. When you go to game 7s, they're almost so desperate and so physical that usually they're not that good of a game. Usually the best games in a series are game 4 or game 5.
I love a game 4.
Because you have the desperation, but they're not nervous and it's not ugly. This one was all of those things. Like there were points where it was really well played. There were other parts where it was ugly. I thought the fourth quarter was actually pretty disappointing that Indiana just couldn't figure out how to score, because I wanted to see how far they could push OKC, and they could never kind of put OKC in like they're down 7 with 4 minutes. They could never. OKC was always lingering, and it's a tough one, man. You have those. You think about those. Like the Celtics had that 3 years ago with the Steph Curry, that game 4 in the finals when he just took off in the second half. And
one of the best games I've ever been to.
Yeah, and sometimes when you just know something has shifted.
The NBA Finals are here. It all comes down to this, and FanDuel's turning the excitement up even more with an all-customer profit boost for every game of the series, as if you needed another reason to root for a Game 7, that's right. Use your profit boost to bet which team will win, who's going to drop 30, or you can build a parlay for a shot at an even bigger payday. If your bet wins, you'll win even bigger, and then you could do it all over again the next game. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. Just visit FanDuel.com/Lowe to join today. That's FanDuel.com/Lowe, Lowe, to claim your profit boost for each and every game of this NBA Finals. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or over in present in select states, or 18 and over in present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. This episode is brought to you by HubSpot. In the playoffs, extra possessions are everything. Same goes for growing a business. And HubSpot's customer platform gives you more chances to win. Breeze, that's their built-in AI, automatically takes care of marketing, sales, and service tasks so you can game plan for growth. It's easy, efficient, and most importantly, it's effective. Customers are cutting sales cycles in half and getting hours back each week. That's like turning those contested jumpers into clean looks at the rim. Visit HubSpot.com/AI to learn more. So you and I on the off days and during the days, we've been making a lot of calls on off-season stuff and draft and trades, and Philly naturally. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise.
I'm in the car with you.
Philly naturally comes up a lot because they're at number 3, and what are they going to do, and this and that. So you're talking to people about the Sixers, and you watch these games and how intense and how physical they are. The playoff, you just cannot overstate how long of a slog the playoffs are if you're going to win 4 playoff series and start playing basically every other day for the second and third round. And then you get some more off time in the finals.
And then it's 18 days in the finals, potentially. It's like, it feels like
and
two-thirds of a month.
These two teams are relatively young, incredibly young in Oklahoma City's case, deep and pretty healthy. And the reason I bring up Philly is just like, everyone's like, yeah, maybe they can get Embiid to play 60, 65 games again in a season. It's just impossible to imagine him playing a full playoffs at this level of intensity.
10 straight weeks
this
of that.
level of minutes. It's watching it up close over and over again, round after round, the toll it takes on just the playoffs. Forget the first 82, just like the 20 whatever you need to win a title, wins and losses together. It's just an enormous toll on your body. And it's not a coincidence that we have 2 young, healthy, deep teams standing at the end. And even they're like going to get to the end of the series like we couldn't play another series after this, or like I don't know what it would even look like.
Yeah, Game 3, Dallas-Boston in the finals was like that, I felt like. I thought it got to that level where there was a desperation on both sides. That was the only time. It's pretty rare to see an entire series of it because I feel like I thought Game 3 kind of had the same vibes. This was a little different because, and you could feel it. Like I was watching the OKC during the timeouts. They knew. They know what's going on. They can't go down 3-1.
Even with home court, it's a tall order.
The young guys were super quiet. Caruso was kind of he's the clapper, fist pump, veteran guy that every team needs. But an SGA is just this calm Michael Myers force who just doesn't really talk. It was weird. He got called for a 4th foul and he was actually kind of mad. And so was Dagnall. It was weird to see them even rattled by a call.
And that's when he got taken out of the game for 38 seconds.
Yeah.
I think one possession, one Oklahoma City offensive possession.
Right. Even to see them do that, it was like, oh, it was like the Russians cut. It was one of those moments. But for the most part, they're just business-like. They do their business. And Dort is just like Ray Lewis out there. He really is. He's like a linebacker. Like in the first half, and I don't know if I think the TV caught it after the fact. So Mathurin was shooting free throw, and Dort just elbowed Halbert in the face, like for real. It was like a flagrant foul. It seemed like
it wasn't a full flop. That's for sure. Like they got tangled up, and he just did the discard.
Just
like
nailed him.
Just get off me.
And there was like 2 other times when it was clear. I'm speaking for him. I don't know if he really thinks this, but he's like, Halbert might be a little soft. I'm going to test him a couple times. And he was, be like hockey. He was Canadian hockey enforcering the thing. Caruso, same thing. Like these guys, it's weird. You don't think of them as like a tough team, like the way we would think of like the Bad Boy Pistons or something. That team is fucking tough.
Yeah, they're not out to like be violent, but their physicality
tough.
is unrelenting.
On those drives, like they want to like bang into you and knock you backwards.
Well, and J Dub had a couple of hard falls tonight, one on offense, one on defense, just going like hell at the rim or going like hell to challenge a shot at the end on Mathurin. They're, by the way, we're at the point with flagrant fouls now where
I don't know what they are.
You might as well just pick like 3 media members and be like, you guys are going to be the flagrant foul judges for tonight's game. You just 2 out of 3. It's a flagrant or it's not flagrant. Because
Toppin and Caruso just seemed like a hard foul. Hartenstein got mad about it for some reason. Then it was like, no, that was actually a flagrant. We were like, what? It was a playoff foul.
And then Toppin clubbed somebody in the head, or somebody clubbed Toppin in the head.
Somebody clubbed Toppin in the head. That's called that. Dort elbowed Halbert in the face, not a flagrant. I don't know. I can't keep
just
track.
Maybe me, you, and Howard Beck can just be like the flagrant foul committee. We'll argue.
Would it give
out.
Scott Foster a chance to randomly just stop the game a couple more times?
Well, he's
and
not
walk
even,
over the scores table for no reason.
At least he could give us a little Bill Kennedy mugging at the microphone. He doesn't even vamp like that on the challenge
awful
mic.
Tonight. He was just awful. I knew he was going to be awful, and he was worse than I thought he was going to be. Because I think the officiating's been pretty good for the most part in the playoffs.
Yeah,
tonight was bad.
Oklahoma City really kind of felt their way through this game. I didn't like the way they started. I was like almost alarmed by the fact that coming out of the gate, they had Hartenstein blitzing Halliburton in the pick and roll. Like to me, Halliburton is a guy that you just don't blitz because he's going to make the right easy pass every time. And they got to stop like Turner missile jump shot. I was shocked that they had, and it backfired a couple of times. I don't know if that's like something they might try again. I don't love it.
We forgot to mention how they started the double bigs.
Yeah, no, we mentioned it before. I felt
a little desperate.
Did it work?
Not really.
Hartenstein was -7. Didn't feel like he had. I honestly think that change. I mean, Mark Dagnall will never explain anything in like what they're actually thinking. I'll bet you that change was aimed at their offense more than their defense because of his screening, his passing. Like, hey, if you're going to top block Shai, I'm the guy who can hit him on backdoor cuts. They're big to big passing,
They
stuff.
didn't really use him like that, though. I feel like he's declined as the playoffs have gone along and has basically turned into a backup center, which he was way more than that during the season. He was, I thought, like this additive offensive player for them.
But
he did all the other stuff.
Between games and rewatching Game 3, my anticipation was whatever adjustments they make are going to be aimed at loosening up their offense a little bit. I don't think that they really succeeded tonight. I still think
you didn't like the 3 for 17 from 3.
Well, it's a little thing. I thought Joe would play more just because he's their best chance at like just some random guy gets on a heater and makes 4 threes in the second quarter.
Yeah.
I thought he would play a little bit more. I thought they would try playing 5 out again, maybe like no bigs, just try it, see how it works.
It seemed like he just wanted the defense more than the offense in the second half, at least.
And then,
I agree with you. I thought it was going to be Wiggins because I was watching Wiggins warm up before the game, and it felt like he made 39 of 43s, and just it was like, oh, they might need those. And then he missed one. We never saw him again.
I mean, like Kenrich Williams played more minutes than Aaron Wiggins.
Yeah. Well, this is what happens as these series go along. It's like soldiers on a battlefield. They start getting picked off one at a time, and all of a sudden you have 6.5 guys left. If you're Indiana, like you have a legitimate Miles Turner issue now because I don't even think he thinks his shot's going in. And
he's got to take him.
And you have Toppin, who has looked great and he's giving them energy. I thought it was a bad sign for the Pacers that they were putting their subs in with like 5 minutes left in the first quarter. That whole first half, I texted you at one point. It was 9:45. There was like 3 minutes left. The first quarter felt like it took forever. And Carlisle started speed subbing. And then all of a sudden he brought his dudes in. But it was really early. It was, there was still 5 minutes left. And all of a sudden McConnell and Toppin were in the game. And I just felt like, I don't feel like their subs had the same impact because of that today.
McConnell had some moments in the first half. I don't really remember anything he did in the second half. And 8 points.
A lot of dribbling.
18 minutes. Mathurin just not there tonight. And
listen, somebody asked me before the game, "You think Mathurin will do it again?" And I was in the bathroom and I was like, "It was a treat in Game 3. I'm feeling a trick tonight for Mathurin because he's trick or treat."
I mean, that's how he is. That's how he is.
I had a couple more notes for you.
You go.
Hold on. So, OKC, I thought this was interesting. The first half just decided to give up. I know they ended up with some offensive rebounds, but they would take a shot and 4 guys would just go back. It was the old Doc Rivers end of the 2000 Celtics move of they were just like, you can have the rebounds. They didn't want to get beaten so badly on those fast breaks that they threw the offensive rebounds away for a while, which I thought was an interesting strategy. They didn't stick with it, but that was a little grasping for straws-ish to me. And then I thought the pace was so fast for them in the first quarter, especially. And I wrote down in my notes, this is what would happen when the Celtics would play Indiana. Indiana just sucks you into their pace. You're like, I don't want to play this fast. And then all of a sudden you're playing that fast. And in the second half, OKC figured out how to get the pace back. The second half was the OKC pace, especially the last 14 minutes. A little slower, a little more chaotic. That's where they want it. They don't want to be in a track meet with these guys.
What other notes do you have? Any other notes you want to get to?
I wrote down at the end of the first quarter in bold, reprehensible Foster game, and it only got worse. No, I had the big picture. Oh, here's one. Where do you have Jalen Williams' big picture right now in general?
I don't have any. I don't think I have like a hot. I think he made All NBA, right? I think he made third team All NBA as like the last guy in. I would not have had him on my third team All NBA ballot. I would have had him as like maybe the last guy out. And then you factor in like guys that were not eligible due to injuries. He's probably something like the 20th best player in the NBA. And
I think I have him higher.
Yeah, I mean, like defensively, I had him all defense for sure.
Because you have your 10 guys, and then it moves into that like Cade, AD, Jalen Williams, Mobley, LeBron, Booker, that kind of category.
Yeah.
The stuff Jalen Williams was doing tonight, how elite he was as a two-way guy, how fucking hard he plays.
Oh, look, there's nothing. I remember
he's shaking off all the young guy cobwebs at this point. Like he is like a fucking bull in a china shop.
I remember 2 years ago on NBA Today, we were commenting over a Thunder highlight, and I just screamed just 2 years ago, Jalen Williams is a star. Like he's a star. And it was clear he was going to be a star.
Now I think he might be a level higher than a star now. Like he's a clear, you can win the title if he's your second best guy in the team.
Well,
I
we
think
know
at
that
this
because
point.
they're 2 wins away from winning the title.
But it was like, is he 2A? Chet's 2B? Now I don't know. I just, those 2 games in person, I was just really impressed by. I feel like he's gone up a level. Maybe I'm crazy.
A couple of big picture things.
Yeah.
I would like to dispel something that is seeping into the media coverage of this finals.
Oh God.
No. Well, no.
Solitaire?
I someone informed me about that after the game. I did not see it. Okay. I'm laser focused, baby. I'm focused.
I heard rumors.
No, there's no Twitter for me during the games.
Okay. That's how I operate as well.
Laser focused.
We're at the game. What do I need to look at Twitter? I'm at the game. I can watch it.
Anyone fucking talks to me during the game, you're not getting a response. All right.
Really?
Yeah.
I talked to Chet in the whole game. I just kind of narrated for
him. So there's this notion that like we have all underestimated Indiana.
Oh.
And because we did not realize that, I'm not including us because we did realize it, that after a slow 10-15 start, they became an elite team. That's true. I've seen a little bit of like, well, they're really, and even I was talking to a couple people before the game on the sideline, I will not name who they were, saying, yeah, they're, these teams were like neck and neck after January 1. Like that's the line of demarcation. They're neck and neck. And I just like, I just want to say,
it's not true.
Like, so after the Pacers are 10-15,
yeah,
you red line at that moment. From that point on in the season, the Pacers go 40-17 with a net rating of plus 4.9. That was 6th in the NBA.
Yeah.
The Thunder go 49-9 with a net rating of plus 13, which is first by a mile. Which is to say, even if you just isolate when the Pacers started playing well, when Halliburton, who was more injured in the offseason, by the way, than people know, and I think maybe we will figure that out later. Even if you isolate the season from that point forward, the Thunder are still way better on paper. Like there's still a big gap on paper. Now, I think what we've discovered in the playoffs is you can kind of throw the paper a little bit to the side because just the way the Pacers play is extremely difficult to play against over and over and over again.
And they were getting better and better at it.
Yeah, the paper gap shrinks because of the style difference. The styles make fights.
It's like what I said before about the stuff they were doing the first 3 quarters with the kind of defense OKC was playing was incredible to watch because OKC was playing A+ defense and Indiana was still, getting good shots and running on them and hitting threes.
And the other thing I would like to say, is that the Pacers have successfully become a very good defensive team, and schematically they're long, they're fast, they're smart. Halliburton has held his own, and that's the bar for the guard, the skinny guard, the Steph Curry guard, whatever. Just hold your own, so that we don't have to bend everything to account for you. He's been pretty solid for the most part. And if you talk to people with the Pacers, it was your Boston Celtics that had the light bulb go on for him. That just those 2 games that he played before he got hurt in the conference finals, it was eye-opening for him to be like, oh, they're really going to pick on me every single time.
Right.
Like, it's just, this is how it's going to be in the playoffs. Like, I've just got to get a little better. And he's done it, and their scheme in this series has been awesome. They're flying around in pick and roll coverages when there's a jailbreak. Someone will peel in from the perimeter. Another guy will peel out. They're making those reads correctly. Can we play a game with Andrew Nembhard?
Yeah.
Because you're a redraft guy. Andrew Nembhard was the 31st pick in the 2022 draft.
Incredible.
And that's what's cool about this Pacers team, like, and why it's hard to parse. Halliburton, all-NBA guy, right? Got to have that.
Yeah.
Siakam, borderline all-star, like
it's in the top 30.
Like he'll make the all-star team some years not.
It's in the 20 to 30 range usually.
2nd round pick Nembhard, 1st round quote bust Neesmith reclamation project.
Not for us. We never gave up our houses.
Neesmith Island. We're like, we can't sell. It's like the value is going to keep going up.
SJ was picking on him today. I did look at Redfin.
Miles Turner, center, who's been in trade rumors for almost 10 years. It doesn't look like this. It's not like the Warriors starting 5 from 2015.
No, even when you look at the scoreboard and you're like, it's almost like they're missing a guy, but they're not.
All right, let's play like, would you draft this guy over Nembhard? And we'll see if we would redraft Nembhard.
Okay.
Paolo, yes.
Yeah.
Chet, yes.
Yeah.
Jabari Smith Jr.?
Oh, I mean, that's another one of my holdings.
Me too. I love Jabari Smith Jr. I'm saying it's a conversation.
Yeah, it's a conversation. I think I'd rather. I really like Jabari Smith, and I just think he's on the wrong team.
I love his will.
I just want to see him on another team. I imagine him in the Pacers in the Miles Turner spot.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that.
Keegan Murray,
Oh, I'd Nemhard 100 times out of 100.
Jaden Ivey,
It's not fair because Ivy got hurt, but I would take Nemhard.
Benedict Mathurin,
Nemhard.
Shaden Sharp. So that's a
18
spicy
a game
one.
last year.
I like Shaden Sharp.
I like winning titles, so I'm taking Nemhard.
Dyson Daniels.
Oh. I'd probably take Daniels. Would you?
I'd probably take Daniels, yeah.
He was unbelievable last year.
Jeremy Sohan.
No.
Here's the toughest one, number 10. Johnny Davis.
How did he do in Israel last year?
Ousmane Dieng.
No. You're not going to hit anybody else, probably.
No, J-Dub is number 12.
Oh. So there you go.
Jalen Duren. Then you go Ochai. Like Andrew Nemhard.
Jalen Duren's an interesting conversation. I thought he was good last year.
I'm a big fan. I'm just saying, like, there's a pretty good chance Andrew Nemhard should have been a top 10 pick in the draft, and they got him at 31 with a pick they acquired in a trade. That's all. I just was like, I want to redraft this and see where it goes.
They took him in the range where everybody thought he was going to go, though.
I heard a good Andrew Nemhard story actually today. So the Bucks had the 24th. The Bucks, who have some offseason dilemmas to sort out. Maybe they're sorting those out. Maybe they are not. But part of the reason the Giannis future thing is a question is that they just like, who are the young players that are going to grow with Giannis that I can look around and say, oh, it's me and AJ Green in 3 years, and who else? The Bucks had the 24th pick in the draft, and they worked out Nemhard, I think twice. Love Nemhard, all over Nemhard. He even, from what I heard, he even had to cancel a Pacers workout because he had to go back and work out for the Bucks, and the Bucks were picking 7 spots ahead of the Pacers, and they passed on him, and they took Marshawn Beauchamp. And Nemhard, who is an absolute MFer as a competitor, like icy as hell, wants to kill you, has never ever forgotten about it, and wants revenge on the Bucks all the time. But it's like an underrated little piece of the Bucks Pacers rivalry. I don't know. Any other takeaways? Like as we head to Game 5,
I heard a horrifying Halliburton story about the draft today.
Oh God, share it. Can you share it?
The Boston story.
Oh boy. All right, let me look.
Boston was picking 14, and they loved. I knew this story, and I think I blocked it out of my mind, and then it was retold to me today. They were picking 14, and they wanted to trade up for Halliburton. Mm-hmm. Boston and Dallas were the 2 teams trying to trade up for him. Boston had a better chance because they were 14. And they were trying to trade with a couple of the teams. And at some point, Danny was on the phone with somebody and misunderstood what they said. The guy said he's not going to be there at 14, but Danny thought he said he's going to be there at 14. So they didn't do the trade up because he's like, he's going to be there at 14. That's what we heard. And then he got taken.
I thought we were going to have a Brooks situation again, like Dylan Brooks and Marshawn Brooks.
No,
the bots of them.
No, it wasn't a Brooks thing. But they didn't trade up because he misheard the information.
And
apparently.
Who did the Boston Celtics take with the 14th pick?
Aaron Nesmith.
Aaron Nesmith.
Yeah. Because the Phoenix pick seemed pretty available at number 10, and somehow they ended up just taking Jalen Smith anyway. A lot of teams kicking themselves with Halliburton.
Any other notes on this game as we move forward to Game 5? Adjustments, counters, stuff you're looking for that we
I'll just say this. I flew to Indiana. It was a 4-hour flight. 2 games in 3 days. Was hoping they'd be really good. The games were spectacular.
Amazing. So intense.
They were an A+. I love the Indiana fans. I thought they were just awesome. My only critique would be don't go completely silent when you get nervous when your own guy's at the line. Just do some small chatter. When it goes from super loud to...
I'll never forget being in MSG for Game 1 of Pacers-Knicks when Anunoby and Towns missed free throws.
The same thing when it goes.
Well, it wasn't just silence. They were going shh.
There's nothing more nerve-wracking.
No shh. Don't do the
yeah,
shh.
Just pretend. Just start talking about like, hey, have you seen your friends and neighbors? Like, just have conversation. Let the guy shoot. But I thought they were just awesome, and the atmosphere is great. Everybody loves basketball. Everybody seemed like they had their own tickets. Usually when you, especially go to the finals, it seems like some people sell or you have like a lot of corporate people. This was like just Pacer fans absolutely everywhere. My big note is that McAfee did this monologue with like 10 minutes left. Did you see this in the scoreboard?
Yep.
And was talking about, this was like a crucial part of the game. And he was doing this thing about, we were 6-point underdogs and this is Indiana. And it was just, it was the wrong timing. I would have gone second quarter for that. It was like this massive part of the game. And they actually had to stop the game and wait for the monologue to finish before they started playing again. I thought that was really weird.
Fourth quarter of a game that
the biggest game of
the most consequential game of the season so far.
I was talking to somebody before the game. Is this the biggest NBA Pacers home game ever? This game tonight. This is before the game.
I mean, this is the first time they've ever been in the lead in the finals in the NBA.
So the other one would have been Lakers 2004 Game 4.
The Kobe game.
But they were down 2-1 in the
2-1.
series. This one, they're up 2-1. And this is another piece of this. Now that we don't have 2-3-2 anymore, it's like impossible to win 3 in a row in the 2-3-2 at home.
I think as great as Oklahoma City is, and with home court advantage, Pacers win this game and have all that momentum and all that good feelings, and OKC is asking questions of themselves and feeling down. I don't think they can win 3 games in a row.
I don't think so either.
At home.
And I think 6 would have been really hard. But now, you and I both thought Indiana was going to win tonight.
I did. I said before, just something in my gut.
Yeah.
The way they finished game 3, it just felt like Oklahoma City was a little frazzled and a little tired. And the way this game started, I was like, oh, okay. It feels like an Indiana win. It felt like an Indiana win for the first 3 quarters of the game.
So it almost became the Obi Toppin game. So I guess this game ended up with no name. It's the SGA 5 points in a row game.
I think it's the SGA fourth quarter scoring at the end.
Those
Maybe
the
Caruso, another Caruso game. Another how did
really
they get
nice
this
win.
guy game. All right,
really nice win. Good job by the Indiana fans, though. I thought they did everything they possibly could, and I've never heard madder fans in my life than they were at Scott Foster at various points in that game. Real animosity.
Are you? Would you make a pick now, like an update? I mean, both of us, our picks are wrong. We picked Oklahoma City in 5 before the series, I believe.
In The Godfather, Sollozzo tries to kill Vito Corleone. He shoots him and doesn't die. And then he talks to somebody later and he has dinner with Michael Corleone.
Doesn't go well.
McCluskey.
Yeah.
Louis ends up getting shot to death.
Yeah.
And he's like, I missed my chance. Now I am the hunted one. It felt like it felt like a Sollozzo game for Indiana. They missed their chance. This was it. This was all lined up for them. They're up 10. Obi Toppin at the line. OKC's rattled and young and playing twice in 3 days. The crowd's crazy. This was it. They had it. But we should know not to count them out either. I'm not gonna say they have no chance, but I just feel like OKC probably won the title tonight.
Like I said before, I think Oklahoma City still has to make some adjustments offensively to pull this series out. I picked Oklahoma City to win in 5. I still think they're going to win the series, but I think it's going to be a tough, I don't know, 6, 7, whatever. I don't care. I think they're going to win the series, but I wouldn't count Indiana out. Should we do some offseason stuff before we get
let's do it.
Durant.
Yeah, it's
Durant.
Feels like it's going to happen right when you're at a party tomorrow night.
I know. Everyone's talking about Durant. Everyone. The league is talking. Every team is talking. I would say the buzz order right now, if I had to do a buzz rank, is Minnesota.
I'm not as sold on that one as you.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying buzz, like the buzz.
Yeah.
Houston, back up in the buzz rankings.
That's another weird one because you're giving away possible Giannis assets for December to February if that situation changes.
We'll talk about Giannis. And
we don't need to. He's not getting traded.
I think you're probably right.
He's not getting. He's staying this summer. I mean, he might get traded in December, January, February. He's not getting traded.
The thing about that is, I can't remember what we talked about or not, but the whole gap year thing, gap year, like East is crappy. Keep everybody. We'll be competitive. We'll be a top 6 seed. You'll be happy, and then we get Dame back, and either we get Damian Lillard back or we get Damian Lillard the trade contract back, and we flip him for something.
Or he's Dana Barros circa 1998.
But I don't understand how that's a plan. to like be an actual championship contender again? Where are all the other players coming from? Like who else is joining?
I just don't think there's a trade yet. And I don't think it's up to him and he doesn't want to get traded.
That it is firmly up to him. Like the interesting thing about this is you would think that some people with the Bucks, maybe you wouldn't. Initially I was like, well, the Bucks could see this as an opportunity. Like, look, the writing's on the wall. Dame's hurt for a year. We don't have any bullets left in the trade machine. Like, it might be actually not so much in our worst interest to move on now and get everything we can possibly get the young players, assets, picks. And they've actually gone the other way. And I think they're probably right. He's 31. He's the third best player in the world. And
he would have loved playing in the game today because bodies were flying.
Yeah. And we don't trade players like that. No team should trade players like that. We'll figure enough out and try to figure out a path, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. We've seen players stick with their teams. I think they've gone hard the other way. Like, no, hell no, we're not trading him. You're under contract. Like, also,
how can
you're
you
under
watch
contract.
this series and not think that you're 2 moves away from being in the finals next year and you have Giannis?
But what are the moves? That's
I
the
know,
hard
but
part for
I'm
them.
just if I'm trading him and I'm trading him for a bunch of Houston stuff that they lost in round 1.
All right. Durant buzz. Then it's like a big.
So you agree with me that Giannis, like, let's not even discuss this until December, January, February, because nothing's going to happen.
We all know who the teams would be, what the offers would ballpark be.
I think there's one more team that's not going to mention because it wouldn't make sense now, but it might later.
Wouldn't make
the Nets of Brooklyn,
How would
because
it make
they
sense?
could set up. So not to bring the Celtics into this, although I love to do it.
Yeah.
But Celtics, after they lose the lottery in 2007, you would not have thought they were a KG team. Then they trade for Ray Allen, and suddenly they have stuff, and now maybe a KG trade. I think Brooklyn could use the summer to set up, to stack some pieces to be ready for a Giannis trade, right? Maybe they take Drew Holiday from the Celtics. Maybe they use cap space and sign Naz Reid. They have all those picks. I just feel like it could be a 2-part kind of offseason for them where they set up, hey, look at all these pieces we have now, Giannis, and kind of hope that he gets unhappy.
All right, Minnesota, Houston, and then I think there's a gap.
We argued about the Minnesota thing, though, because we can't figure out what the trade is.
That's
Gobert's
fine.
in it.
We'll get there. Miami, still trying to get in, I think.
Wow.
Spurs lurking. Not sure, like, are we going to be that aggressive? Is this the right time for us? But lurking. Knicks, I think, might not be lurking anymore.
Out.
I think they might be
Out.
We're moving on. Toronto, wild card team, lurking.
Yeah, because Masai's just like, you just don't know.
No, and I think there's this
He's
idea
like
that
the relative who said 5 drinks at Thanksgiving, and you're like, oh, God.
well, and just hovering over all of this is Durant's eligible for a 2-year, $112 million extension.
And he's 38.
Is he going to sign it? Does he actually want to commit, or does he want to maintain his flexibility? Do the Suns are working with him, but does it behoove them to just trade him to where they get the most value, even if that team is a rental team for Kevin Durant? And is there a team that would trade for him? We don't care if you extend or not. We'll figure it out later. Toronto did this with Kawhi Leonard, and I think they have this idea like, oh, we can do that again. The difference is they were like a 55-win team already.
Yeah, they were awesome.
And this is not a 55-win
And they won the
team.
trade. They traded, what was it, DeRozan and Pirtle?
Yeah.
So
the Minnesota one is complicated because right now, until the NBA year flips on July 1, Phoenix and Minnesota are both in the second apron.
you would have to be like, we're going to do this trade on July 1st, basically.
That's barring something that I don't understand happening. Yes.
But then there's this weird thing where Gobert's salary goes backwards, and him and DiVincenzo make like $47 million combined, and Durant makes like 53. And I still don't understand what's allowed and not allowed with this stupid second apron that I'll never forgive the stupid players union for agreeing to
the hard cap. Why don't we just call it the hard cap?
It's just malpractice. It was malpractice by the players union.
I mean, is there a team? I think Minnesota wants Durant the most, from what I've heard. Houston is like, I think there's a little bit of an internal GM coach, different idea of how much they should or would trade for Kevin Durant. Plus, if I'm Phoenix, and you're building an offer around Jalen Green, which I think that's like the common sense salary to throw in.
How does that help Phoenix?
Jalen Green, Booker, Beal. It's like it just doesn't.
The Gobert thing's fun.
Gobert thing is like
Gobert and DiVincenzo for Durant is just fun. I don't know how that makes Minnesota closer to winning a title.
I think their motto would be whatever we do, we get enough financial flexibility for the 25-26 season where we can pick up a Capella, a Brook Lopez, like some kind of low-cost, decent center who can either start and play 20 minutes or, we start Naz Reid at center and go all offense, and then that guy comes in. I think they piece it together that way if they end up trading Gobert, which who knows if they're going to do or not.
I thought Durant to the Spurs was happening. I'm suspicious if it cooled off because it makes me think maybe there's a different move for them.
I will say I
think a little bit of a minor trade back from 2 and somebody moving up and overpaying to move up 3 spots because we talked about this last time. You're putting Wemby with Harper and Fox and Castle and Sohan. Is anybody making a 3 out of those guys? Like the game we just went to? How's the spacing going to be looking in that game? Like, I just don't think that team makes sense. And that's I still feel like in my heart that Vassell and Barnes and the 14th pick and like
14's a big one. Houston has 10 too. They have number 10 from Phoenix.
You mean for a move up?
No, for like Durant.
For Durant.
I
wouldn't give up the 10th for if I'm Houston, I'm not doing anything. I'm waiting for December, January, February with a major star.
I do like the fit though. I like
on Durant.
Yeah.
Well, we both heard that he wouldn't mind Texas.
Well, he's from Texas. The Spurs are also in Texas.
Yeah. There's 2 Texas teams.
There's something to the Van Vliet stays and like they really financially it becomes actually very difficult. And Van Vliet's salary is a critical variable. Like, can they go down with him and out on an extension to make the apron math work? But Van Vliet, Durant, Şengün as an offensive trio makes a lot of sense to me. And then you just surround them with the Terror Twins and just athletes and defenders and just everywhere. Like that's a
it's a team that needs him the most.
It's a really good team. That's a team that's like, yeah, I mean, can we beat anybody? We would be favored against anybody except the Thunder. I don't know. It depends how the offseason shakes out. Nuggets are not going anywhere.
Unbelievable home crowd of empty seats. Not one of my favorite crowds. Not like the crowd we just sat in a game with.
Nuggets are going to have a new GM, I think, by the way, but that's a different story.
Well, they hired the coach before they hired the GM.
Yeah, the coach was already there, though.
No, I know.
Is there a team dicey. You think that we haven't talked about for Durant that should be trying to get Durant? If you had to bet, would you bet on San Antonio then and come swooping in?
I would bet on the state of Texas.
All right, I'm betting on Minnesota.
I don't know. I just think when push comes to shove, I think you have to look at the happiness factor and wonder why he hasn't seemed to be in happy situations for 7 years now. What's going on? Is that a coincidence or something more? I already have Randall.
And also like he's going to, if he goes to Minnesota, he's going to be the number 2 ball handling option to a young ascending star in Anthony Edwards, just like he was in Phoenix to Devin Booker. Like, how does he feel about that? There was always this push and pull of like, am I standing in the corner too much? Whatever. Do they cooperate enough offensively? Is there enough synergy between them? And the same questions would come up again.
Are we sure we should cross off Detroit?
No, they're on my list. I mean, I don't know that they've dabbled in it at all. I don't know if they're, it's one of my favorite again, the East is going to be so bad.
Because you could just basically throw together.
Oh, it's right there.
The last year at Tobias.
Isaiah Stewart gets you to 42 million.
Stewart,
plus you got to give me something.
Picks.
Or you got to give me picks, or you got to give me Ivy, you got to give me something. But yeah, that the salary match is right there.
It's going to be Texas.
Cade, Durant.
I just can't wait to see what kind of life event you're having when the trade happens.
Well,
Like you're going to be like in some over 40 swim meet in Connecticut, and like halfway through the breaststroke, and the trade will happen.
The next 72 hours, I have a lot of stuff going on, so I'm anticipating a trade happening in there. And you know what?
Can trades happen during the finals?
Yes, we've had trades during the finals. Denver made a couple trades Denver made a trade when they were in the finals, the draft pick trade, but they made a trade.
I actually went on the.
You know what trade happened in the finals?
What?
Nets salary dump to set up the Durant-Kyrie free agency bonanza. They made a salary dump during the finals. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head.
I've already found my point guard for the Nuggets. I think they have a $6 million taxpayer. Russ is out. He declined.
I know. Re-sign Russ at a bigger number.
No. I'm buying some property on Luke Kennard, Jokic Island.
Oh.
Yeah. Luke Kennard.
He might shoot 60% on threes.
Can you imagine Luke Kennard playing with Jokic? How much fun would that be? Has Luke Kennard ever been on the right team? He's been in the league like 10 years. Has there ever been a good situation for him? You get to play with Jokic and just do weird lefty shit and shoot threes?
I think the Clippers thought they would be the perfect situation for him, and they just never trusted him to play defensively in the playoffs. I like that. What, Luke Kennard? That's
$6 million for Luke Kennard.
I can't believe that's coming out. And
yeah, I'm already doing my free agency homework.
Just groggy Bills.
Nobody has money. Everybody's either 6 million or 10 million for like 30 guys.
And Brooklyn is the one that has money. And I honestly think Brooklyn is just going to tank again. Just give us dead money and picks. We're just rolling it again.
Well, shit. After what Presti did, that should be the model for 5 of these teams. I never understand why more people haven't emulated that. Everyone's so afraid of the salary cap floor, but the salary cap floor only counts like on March 1st. You can go into the season with like a $30 million team.
No, I think they changed that rule. You got to get to the floor sooner now, I think.
Oh, did they?
That was part of the new CBA for the.
That's good. They try to continue to ruin roster fun.
Well, I mean, I think that was when you said the players got hammered with the hard cap. I'm calling it the hard cap now. Enough with this apron language. Second apron's a hard cap. I think
if we can't make a Kevin Durant for Rudy Gobert and Dante DiVincenzo trade becomes impossible, like we're doing something wrong.
You know, honestly, the other thing is you go to Real GM and you look at the traded picks. These like swaps of swaps, and it's like they get the second and fourth best of these picks. I'm not reading that whole paragraph. Just wake me up when it's decided who's picking where.
I feel like Stern would have created a rule to just squash all this. You can't trade a pick that's already been traded. He would have had some sort of
swaps upon swaps upon swaps.
Goofy rule.
No Larry Legend sighting tonight, right?
I thought it was a big mistake.
I've heard, I cannot confirm because I have not seen him. I've heard he's been here for their pre-draft workouts. They still bring him up for pre-draft workouts, which means he's either leaving or he doesn't want to.
Can we, because we're super groggy, can I throw this at you?
Yes.
Most shocking player you think could get traded over the next 3 weeks?
This is so exciting.
That wouldn't be 100% shocking to you. Mine is Devin Booker.
I mean, 100% shocking means
100% shocking means like
it would not
Spurs have traded Wembanyama. Like that's
100% shocking. Anything short of that, I don't think Devin Booker's getting traded.
He's my guy.
Why?
I'm just prepared for anything with Phoenix. Like the easy pick would be LaMelo Ball.
I mean, I could make a. We could easily make a more aggregatable pick than that.
You could?
We could. We both could. Either one of us could.
If the Warriors tried to trade for Giannis, is Jimmy Butler in the deal? Salary's got to match
Jimmy
somehow.
Butler getting traded to the sad sack Bucks.
He went to college there.
I know, but like, what is he going to do? Throw a rebellion until they buy him out and trade him and he can go somewhere else. Some big salary's got to be in that deal.
If you go and look at the Warriors' salaries.
Now you're trading Giannis after said he's not getting traded?
I'm saying in like December, January, February.
Why would he do it like that mid-season? Like, is it going south and I'm ready to get out of here? Then it becomes hard.
13 and 20. I don't want to waste my career doing this. Dame's not close to coming back.
Devin Booker, I've
Can you top Devin Booker?
I've heard he's excited about Jordan Knott.
Okay.
And not as concerned as I would be personally.
So give me a pick then.
About like who's going to be on the team in 2 years with me if I'm Devin Booker. Like, it's all right. Oso Ighodaro, Ryan Dunn with 2 Ns. I'm passing to you.
Also,
okay.
They're in the West.
Yeah, the West is
they have
really
to play
good.
OKC.
All right. Well, why don't we okay. It's late. It's late. You said not 100% shocking.
But shocking.
No, but very shocking.
Very shocking, but not Luka getting traded on a Saturday night.
Oh my God.
Shocking.
Unemployed Zach.
Actually, Luka would have been a good guess.
Unemployed Zach sleeping soundly in bed, waking up to a phone full of messages. All right, then let's just do this. Are you 100% sure?
Yeah.
That LeBron James is going to be on the Lakers next year?
No.
Well, then that's going to be my pick.
Give me the reasons.
Well, no one's. I've anticipated all along he's going to finish his career with the Lakers.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to leave Los Angeles. If I were him, I would view the Luka trade as like, this is fucking perfect. I can be off the ball a little bit more.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. He does have a player option, and the feeling is just everyone just kind of assumes, well, I'll figure something out.
It's been too quiet. Normally, he creates like the news for a day kind of storyline. Like LeBron James might not stay with the Lakers. There'll be something, and it's like, oh, here we go. And then it turns out he's staying. This time around, it's been super quiet, which makes me suspicious. I've thought the same thing. But if he's opting out or if they're pushing for a trade, I talked about the Cleveland stuff a month ago. There's just not a lot of places.
Did you? I missed that.
I thought it was like a DeAndre Hunter, Jared Allen for LeBron is a fun one. It is definitely who would have a longer meeting to decide whether they should do it or not. I don't see how he goes to any other team than Cleveland if he leaves the Lakers.
I'm trying to think who else is a good answer for this. Something Clippersy.
Like Markkanen's,
something Clippersy.
Harden's a good answer for this.
Or even Kawhi feels like a...
Well, nobody's traded for Kawhi.
Yeah, it's...
Harden's a good answer for this.
John Morant.
That's a good answer for this. Embiid?
I just can't imagine trading for Embiid. The contract is just so onerous.
Even Sarver's like, I don't know.
Other thing is Knicks coach. Mike Brown, Taylor Jenkins, come on down.
Yeah, it seems like that, and probably some mystery candidate.
I envisioned a joint Rick Carlisle, Mark Dagnall press conference at the finals when they both announced that their teams have denied the Knicks permission to interview them.
They should have. But are they doing it are they trying to spite the owner by doing that? Or are they doing it so that whoever they hire, nobody's going to say, why didn't they try to get Ime Udoka? And they're like just checking boxes.
I don't know.
It's all very strange. I don't know. They're doing.
Public due diligence. If that's your reason, if you're doing public due diligence,
I don't get it.
Then you should just call for Spoelstra. You should call everybody. Like, why stop at Billy Donovan? Why just keep going? If you're trying to show your fans we did everything we could. See?
I had a couple of Miami fans in my life who were furious that I'd wanted to blow up the Heat.
Really?
And I'm like, why? You guys are going to go 42-40 for the next 5 years. You're going to pay Tyler Hero $55 million a year? What kind of team are you going to have?
Did you see the clip that, I assume everything is AI, so maybe it's AI.
That Tyler Hero doesn't think history happened before 1950?
Doesn't believe anything that happened before 1950.
Tough look for him.
Not a lot of great follow-up questions by the other two guys in the video either. I would have been like, so World War II. just made up, like it's right before 1950.
I don't know for sure, but it felt like there might have been some weed involved in that video because they seemed delighted to talk about how history couldn't be trusted before 1950.
So that was not AI, that was real.
It was unfortunately real.
All right. Any other concluding thoughts? Anything we did not talk about? Game 4 of the finals, awesome. Indiana, awesome finals host. Indianapolis, awesome finals host. Lots of X's and O's. We talked Durant. We talked Giannis. We talked offseason. Knicks coaching search. Johnny Furphy came up at one point. Anything we did not hit?
Guy in front of me was wearing an Artest jersey, Artest Pacers jersey. I really respected it. Number 23. I really like seeing the different jerseys. I like that they bring old Pacers in there, like Austin Crocier. We got to see him.
Jeff Foster.
Jeff
Foster, everybody.
Reggie Miller was wearing a Dale Davis jersey, which I really enjoyed.
Dude, I loved Dale Davis as a teenage NBA
Darnell
fan.
Hillman was in the house with Billy Keller.
Oh my God.
It was just, they've had professional basketball here since the beginning of the ABA, and they have real history and have had some fun teams.
And they're also kind of like, there are these teams like the Suns are like this in the West where they've just been good a lot. Like for the most of their history and just never gotten over the hump. The
never
Pacers,
good enough.
Yeah, and really,
Roy Hibbert was there, by the way.
Roy was there.
Shout out to Roy.
I didn't see him. Unbelievable career arc.
There were Pacers strewn all over the place.
That's great.
And,
I love it. Derek
unfortunately,
McKee was here. I saw Derek McKee was in the crowd.
It's so much more fun from content standpoint if the Pacers won tonight.
You think so? More fun?
Because I do think OKC is good enough that they could have come back from 3-1.
We would be having a who's your front runner for finals MVP discussion.
Well, my degenerate friend Sal House on one of my threads, they were saying Siakam's odds dropped by like the third quarter. He was like plus 250 for finals MVP. It was like 30-1 before the game.
What was Halliburton?
Going the other way.
Yeah.
Now it's, I think SGA.
I was with you guys after the Eastern Conference finals, you and Ryan. I just feel like if there's one guy that defines the team, I don't really care that another guy averaged like 3 more points per game than him during the series. Like Halliburton should have been.
This was Maxwell's finals MVP was like this too. Like if you're going to start measuring the stats and the stats are slightly better, I still want to default to you're by far the best player in the team and the other team is planning against you should matter.
Well, it also the whole style of play is because of you. And not all of it, but like most of it emanates. It all starts with.
He just doesn't get the credit for it like Nash did and Chris Paul did. I think we understood that with those guys.
I mean, all of it tomorrow is going to be, is he a superstar? That's what the.
Listen, people should go to one of the games and watch how good Lou Dort is. I can't say it enough times. You can't go by him.
No.
And he's too fucking strong and he's figured out all of the lines he can get away with the physicality, and you can't go by him, and he can guard everybody in the league, and he's the best defensive player in the league.
It's
and Caruso might be in the top 5, and Jalen Williams might be in like the top 10.
It's actually they have a bunch of guys who could have made all defense teams that were not eligible.
Jalen Williams
to make
can guard everyone on the Pacers.
I'm talking about like Caruso, Hartenstein, Holmgren. None of them were eligible for all defense. They still had 2 guys on the all defense teams.
Yeah,
Dort should not be possible. Like you should not be able to be that big and able to guard a quick twitch guy like Halliburton. Like those 2 things should be incongruent. You should.
He's one of those guys. He's actually kind of stunning in person. How big he is.
Yeah, he's huge.
He looks like if you just saw him walk, like if he was at the gym wearing workout clothes and he walked in, you wouldn't know what sport he played. You'd believe he could be a tight end in football. Whatever in basketball.
If he were a bouncer outside of a bar,
yeah, he could be anything.
You would be like, this must be a pretty rough bar if they have this guy as the bouncer. Like,
right.
He walks out for media.
He could be the bad guy in an action movie. Yeah. Like he's just got a presence to him. And I felt like he really wanted to fuck with Halliburton tonight. Like he was going out of his way to mess with them. It was interesting. Halliburton was so rattled by the calls he didn't get that when he finally got a call, he was holding his hand. Did you see that? He was holding his hands up like. I got a call. I can't believe it. Then he made a free throw. It's like, I made one. And he's just completely lost his confidence for drawing him, whereas Shai is always going to be able to get his.
All right. I think that's it. I think we covered everything.
We did. I had a great time, even though I had a really important milkshake at halftime. They have a great shake place in Indiana. And it was basically like doing cocaine and really carried me through the second half.
It was so much sugar. I get stressed with halftime runs, whether it's bathroom runs, snack runs.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I can't miss a possession. I don't want to get back there and I miss the first 3 possessions.
They have some specialized food stops. And one of them was this shake place.
Okay. Vanilla, chocolate?
I had an Oreo shake. They had like 6 shakes. It's like a pretty famous Pacers thing. So I had to try it. And I was like, I'm just going to drink like 1/3 of it. I was like, I was like mauling it. I had like 4/5 of it. That really helped me.
Shout out to the second half.
Because it was a tense game.
That's it for the Zach Lowe Show. Thank you to Bill Simmons. Thank you to Jesse and Jonathan on production. And I will be back. I'm not sure when I will be back. My show is supposed to be on Monday, but the next game is on Monday night, so I'm not sure what we'll
figure it out.
We're going to figure something out. Thanks to everyone for listening. And 2-2, baby. What else could you ask for? 3 games left, max in the season for the NBA championship.
Phenomenal finals.
Finals.
I'd give it either an A or an A+.
Yeah.
Great stuff. It's for the real hoopers, for the real hoop fans.
There you go. Bill Simmons, everybody. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Must be 21 and over and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and over and present in D.C. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.